So my name's Michael from Hikvision UK and Ireland. I work on the project delivery team. I'm joined today by my colleague Young, who's one of our experts on HikCentral Professional. As we go through this webinar, there is a Q&A button at the top of the Zoom meeting. So if you click on there, you can ask questions as we go through, and Young will provide answers. Or you can wait till the end and we'll stick around to answer questions as well. So in this webinar, we're going to go over the HikCentral Professional Control Room solution. So as a brief introduction, we'll just quickly go over what HikCentral Professional is. We'll then move on to the control room solution, look at some of the features and benefits and some of the products that enable us to offer that solution. So firstly, what is HikCentral Professional? Well, it's our VMS, our large VMS that's built modularly and depending on the amount of cameras you want. So it's customizable to smaller and larger projects alike. Some of the basic features are the monitoring, live view and playback of footage, visual tracking, the smart wall, which we'll touch upon quite a lot in the control room solution. And then there are some smart features as well, such as our facial recognition, time and attendance, and other business intelligence features. So the control room solution itself, hopefully a lot of you have worked in control rooms, so know what it's like. So hopefully find the solution useful, but usually it's a lot of cameras and devices coming back to one central location. A lot of the time it's maybe one or two operators that are looking at a lot of cameras, so there's no way they can view them all at the same time easily. This control room solution tries to remove some of those problems by empowering the people in the control room to get access to the information quickly and easily that they need, and sometimes automatically as well. So a typical architecture of a solution. So at the bottom, we've got all our devices, our cameras, our recorders, network switches. They're then connected back to the HikCentral Professional server, which is in the middle there on the control room, and the other devices can connect as well. So we've got a decoder for driving video walls, and we've got two different types of keyboards you can see there. So there's one that can plug directly into the client PC, and there's another that can plug onto the network. So between this solution here, we've got the client, keyboards and decoders. So that's everything we'd need to offer a end-to-end solution for a control room. So the features and benefits. So what we'll go through in this little section is what features we offer in HikCentral Professional that would benefit a control room. So using those decoders and those keyboards to give the operators control over the system. So the first three relating to the decoder is monitoring and accommodating low bandwidth scenarios. So one of the first features we've got on the left hand side is the auto switch of stream type. What this allows us to do, if it's on, is once we have multiple images on the same monitor, once the images are of a certain size, we automatically switch them to substream to save bandwidth. Because they're that small on a monitor, we don't need the full stream, full resolution. We're just taking up unnecessary bandwidth on the network. So we'll automatically switch them to the substreams. If there's a specific camera that you want in the full stream, there is a button to manually switch that back to the full stream as well. And the other way around, if you've got a camera that you're looking at in a large window, but you want to switch it to substream, maybe it's a site with not very good upload bandwidth, then we can do that the other way around as well, switch it to substream. So the auto switching will take care of it most of the time, but then there is a button to switch it manually as well. There are some videos on these after we go through them just to show you how the operation looks. So the split screen, screen split and roaming. So on a video wall, using the decoder, we can divide the image into 4, 9, 16, 25. So they can have customizable of how many images they have on each wall and what size they want to see those images in. The roaming window, so if you can see in the middle image, the window with the red border around it is a roaming window, so that can be moved by the operator onto any other monitor. It can be resized, it can be stretched, it can be stretched across multiple monitors as well. So they can have windows wherever they want to have them on the wall with whatever they want to have in them as well. And then one of the last features on this slide is the keyboard control. So using the keyboard either plugged into directly into a PC over USB or a network keyboard or the PC keyboard itself, the operators can quickly select and change cameras. And that can be on the video wall, on their PCs as well. Using the keyboard, it gives them a little bit quicker way to access the system, especially if they're used to using some of the older control room solutions where they had a keyboard in front of them. They could type in the numbers of the camera and pull it straight up to the video wall without scrolling through the software. So we'll look at the video of the split screen and the roaming. So on the left here, we've got HikCentral Professional software in the smart wall configuration. So on the right-hand side, we've got what it looks like on the smart wall itself. So the multiple monitors. So if we video, so we can see now up here, the selecting which way split that the monitor is going to go into. So 4-way split, and adding 3 more cameras to fill up that wall. We'll click on this camera here. It goes into full screen on the wall. We'll play the wall video after separately, so you can see what it looks like when they are selected on there. And then this is the creating a roaming window as well. So we draw the box where we want it, and we drag the camera in that we want on that roaming window. And then we'll look at how that looks on the wall. So the first thing we do is change this image to a 4-way split. And we then dragged 3 more cameras into it. So you can see the other 3 cameras there now. And then double clicked on one image to make it full screen, which is what happens there. And I believe the next thing was to open a roaming window. So that's the roaming window popped up there and the image that we put onto it. So let's quick look at how we control it from the control client and what it looks like on the smart wall itself. So this one's the auto and manual stream switch. So if we look at this, first thing that we can see is that we're going to go into some settings. So on the settings for the smart wall, we've got the auto switch stream type and the threshold. So the threshold is how many it has to be split into before it automatically switches to substream. So on this one, if we change it to a 9-way split, it will automatically go to substream. So we can see here, if we select this camera, it's in a 4-way split. We look at its status. We can see that it's on its full stream, mainstream. And when we change the smart wall to a 9-way split, if we look at the status of the same camera, it's now gone into a substream. So once that's on the wall with 9 other images, you usually wouldn't be able to tell that it's in substream. There we go, double clicked on it to make it full and it automatically switches back to mainstream. And then the last thing we have here is the button on the bottom to change it to manual. So click on that image there, it will change to between substream and mainstream. So that's now in substream again. So it automatically changes depending on the window size, or we have the button at the bottom that says to switch type. The next one is the keyboard control. So on the left here, we have the DS1600Ki network keyboard, touchscreen network keyboard. And again, on the right, we have what's showing on the video wall. So if we press play on this, we can select a window. It's a bit hard to see this screen. Select the camera button at the top, and then we've got the shortcut where we can type in the camera number. Press enter. We'll see that switch on the screen appear when we play this video. We can then move the camera with this joystick. So we can do our PTZ controls. And if we move over to how that looks on the smart wall, so we've got our camera here. We've selected another number camera on here, so this image should change once we press the enter button. So it's changed the camera there. And we can see that we can then move the camera there with the joystick that we've just selected. So we don't have that camera open on the software. We're purely doing that through the joystick, which is interacting with the HikCentral server. The next one we have is the PC keyboard. So we can click on an image here. We can type in a camera number with the keyboard. Same as we would with a joystick on a network joystick, type in the camera number and press enter, but we can use the PC keyboard there. So again, if the operators have come from an older system where they're used to having camera numbers and they already know all of their camera numbers, we can put them camera numbers into HikCentral and use the keyboard. So you can see here, they're just going to do it again. Tap in the number there, it changes the camera. Same as it would if we dragged the camera across or typed it in on a keyboard. So this next one we're going to go over is alarm pop-ups onto the smart wall. So we've seen how we can control it, how a user can change what they're looking at. One of the most useful features is when an alarm comes in, we can have this come straight to the smart wall. So if the operators start looking at their own screens, occasionally glancing at the video wall in front of them, if an alarm comes in, we can change one of the screens to the image of the alarm so they can see straight away that something's happening. So once an alarm is triggered, the related camera stream can pop up on the video wall, covering the whole screen to give an obvious alarm notification. So that's one of the options. The operators will receive an alarm notification on their main control client. Once the alarm is handled, so they've acknowledged it and they've closed the alarm down, the pop-up video will disappear from the control client, and it can also disappear from the smart wall as well. So once the operator's handled the alarm, it can automatically go back to what it was viewing before. Another option is once an alarm comes through, if there's multiple cameras around where that alarm has occurred, we can bring up the surrounding cameras as well. So if on this last one, we can bring up a four-way split of the 4 cameras surrounding that alarm event. We could link other things in as well. So if there's a PTZ, we could have it go to a preset as well as be part of that group of cameras. So the alarms are built as the operator sort of needs them, really. There's multiple ways of dealing with them. This is a short clip on how it does that. So as an alarm comes in, if you watch the middle window, it's automatically switched video. We can see on the client in front of him as well, it's come up with a pop-up alarm. So once that alarm's dealt with, yeah. So we keep the image of the alarm on the screen till we deal with the alarm on the control client. So once that alarm's acknowledged, then on the video wall, it goes back to the video that it was viewing previously. So once the alarm is dealt with, we can then quickly go back to what we were viewing before. Views and groups. So within the software itself, we can save views, and we can have things split into groups as well. So it doesn't matter where the cameras physically are on a HikCentral system. They could be out on different sites all across the country, as long as they're all networked back to the HikCentral server. We can pull them cameras into different groups, different logical groups. So an example we have here at the bottom, all the meeting room cameras, which can be across different sites, go on one view. And then maybe all the office area cameras go on a different view. What we can do with them views then is load them up automatically. So within the software, we can just drag the view across the view that we want to see, or we can have them auto switching, which we'll look at next. So we can have an auto switch between multiple groups of cameras. So instead of viewing lots of images very small, so you can see them all, we can have monitors alternating through different views with more detail on the camera. So again, another video on how the auto switching is done. So within the control client, we go to our smart wall. At the side here, we've got a view button. So I believe there's some already views created, but we can create a new group if we want to. We'll give it a name. We save the group. So we now have that group, and we can then add views to that group. So what we've got on our smart wall here, if we save as, that's going to save it as a group. We choose where we want to save it, and we'll give it a name as well. So we select the cameras that we want. And put them into the view. We change different splits as well. So if we wanted that to be a 4-way window, we can. It could be. So again, we save as, and we'll give the view a name. Once we have our views, we can set the dwell times. So next to the view, there is a dwell time. So they can be different across different views and different groups of cameras. And then at the top here, we can have what's called, we can give it a name, and we can set up a schedule play as well. So when we press play next to the button there, as we did, that's going to play view 1 for 5 seconds and then view 2 for 10 seconds. And it'll just continuously cycle through them. If we want a different dwell time, we can choose custom. And that'll just cycle this camera then, the cameras that we've loaded. So now we've looked at the views and groups, another thing that we can also do is automatically call them at certain times. So we can set up a schedule. So the one we just did was just cycling through the views. So every 10, 15, 30 seconds, it would cycle through. This one is a scheduled play. So we can say at 8 o'clock at night, change all the smart wall monitors to these different views. Maybe a shopping centre, and when the night shift come on, they want to view the external cameras. So when the shopping centre closes, 8 o'clock, it automatically switches to all of the external car park cameras. And then maybe when the day shift come back on, it can automatically switch to their inside cameras and their entrances and exits. So depending on what different operators or what different people want to see, we can automatically change that on a time basis. And I believe, again, we'll have a look at a video on how to do that. So we're going to go again into the smart wall. We're going to choose our cameras. So once we've populated the view, we're going to save that view again. And then at the bottom, we've got the schedule play button. So we can repeat it on certain days. So it might just want it to happen on a weekend. And then we can put the times in that we want that view to appear. So at these 2 times, that day schedule will play. And we can carry on adding additional times as well. So once that's on, there we go, we can view the schedule, and we can see that at these times on these days, it will automatically play that view. So that view will appear on the video wall. So the next one is desktop feeds displayed on smart wall. So one of the features, or one of the things people normally use in a control room is to display some sort of information on their smart wall. So maybe not just CCTV. A lot of people do have Sky News in control rooms. And here we're demonstrating our health monitoring and showing maps as well. So the way that this works is we can broadcast anything on a desktop PC to the smart wall. So instead of plugging a PC into the back of a monitor, we can have it go through the system. So again, we can move it around on the smart wall as we want to, as we do through the software. We can pull it up from keyboard. We can have it on a schedule to play. So one of a couple of the popular options are the health monitoring. So within HikCentral, there's a health monitoring feature. It shows you if your cameras are working okay, if the server's working okay, if you've got access control, how many doors. So if there's any faults or issues on the system, the health monitoring shows them straight away. Another one is a map. So you can have a map of the site up on the screen. When the alarms come in, they do show on the map, so the operators know what's happening and where they are. And then the last one is a live news stream, some sort of other video feed. So the way that this is done, it uses a PC, and we stream what's on the desktop through to the client, through to the HikCentral professional server. So there's a small piece of software from Hikvision. Now we just have to fill in these details. We then go through into HikCentral Professional physical view, and we add that IP address in there. So what that's going to do is stream what's on that desktop into the system. It doesn't need a camera license, so we can add one. It doesn't matter how many camera licenses you've got, you can still add this. It doesn't take up any licensing. And once we've added that, it will appear as if we've got a camera. So it's a virtual camera that displays what's on the desktop effectively. So as an example, we mentioned the health monitoring that could be pulled up. It could be a number of other things as well. It could be a corporate video just looping that's displayed on a monitor. So we've opened the health monitoring and we can see in the HikCentral client, that's what we can see now. So that's what we'd get if we pushed this virtual camera to the smart wall. Smart wall module. And that's what would be displayed on the monitor that decoder's outputting to. So again, that could be put into a schedule play. It can be moved around. It can be put into a smaller window. It can be stretched across multiple monitors. Anything you can do with a camera, we can now do with that image as well that's coming from the desktop. Okay, so that's sort of the features of the control room solution, some of the highlights, some of the bits that we believe will help a control room environment. What we will do now briefly is go over the products that are used. All of this information can be found on our website as well. So some of the different monitors we do for a control room style solution. The main difference with these is the bezels on the edges. So if they're building a video wall, and they want all the monitors together, they don't want to have the bezels, and we do different variations there in different sizes as well. They're all designed for 24/7 operation. The decoders, so these are what actually power the smart wall. This is where the monitors plug into. We do different sizes, up to a 16 HDMI output. So you can have 16 monitors coming from one decoder being controlled through the software. And then the keyboards at the bottom as well. The 1005 is USB, plugs straight into the control client. The 1600 Ki is a touchscreen tablet style keyboard. It's very good for controlling the smart wall. And then the middle one is a new one that's basically built on feedback from UK control room customers. So as you can see, it's got the physical buttons, the joystick to the left. It's still got a display in the middle, so it still supports all the features, but it's got the physical feedback of the buttons for the operators, which is one of the things they wanted the most. And then the HikCentral Professional software itself. So all of the features we've gone over today are supported in our baseline versions. We're now on version 1.7. So there's no custom version needed to do any of these features. They're all included in HikCentral Professional, which is flexible and scalable. So you can build it up to sort of any size system you really require. So that's it for the presentation. I see there are still some questions coming in, but I think Young has answered the majority of them. So yeah, thanks for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And you got something out of it. If you need any more information, you can, as I said, go on the Hikvision UK and Ireland website, or speak to your distribution partner or your account manager. So we will stick around until all the questions have been answered, but thank you for your time.